Okay, guys and girls, welcome back to what has been a very long overdue FTRL All Things Football podcast. As you can see on the screen, we have the upcoming topics from tonight's discussions. I will make a quick note of the fact that as of our next stream that we do, we are going to have a lot more graphics. It's going to be done on PC, so on and so on. So it's going to be something that we're going to take off with now, and we're looking forward to really kicking on with in the not so far future. So joining me as always is Mr. Joe Burns. So first of all, welcome to you, Joe.
Hello.
How are we feeling?
Good. I feel like we've got some good stuff to talk about tonight. So
we have. Also we do have a lurking Pagani in the background somewhere. So hello, Pagani.
Hello.
How are we?
I'm not too bad. Hashtag triggered dub.
Yep, it's going to happen. So as always, to everybody that is watching, this is purely just our opinions. Please feel free to share yours. The whole purpose of this is that we can have a bit of a rant about football and discuss, as much as we can possibly get into the time frame until we get bored or until we lose the viewers. That sort of shit. I will be swearing quite vigorously, I would imagine. I will be vaping. It will be completely unprofessional in that sense, but you should enjoy yourself. But like I said, we will be reading out all of the comments and stuff coming in. Anything about that particular Nigerian player that plays for Arsenal will not be mentioned on stream, so don't waste your fingers and thumbs.
It might be my way.
Yeah, probably is going to be you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. So, without further ado, shall I say, let's crack straight on. So what we'll do first of all is we will discuss the upcoming weekend's fixtures in the Premier League. Obviously we're coming to the sort of nail-biting end of the season. Liverpool, Man City, obviously the main topics of discussion for obvious reasons, but we'll go through the upcoming fixtures, talk a little bit about them and give a score prediction of what we think may be the results from the weekend. Please feel free to pop yours in there as well. We'll read them out. First of all, Joe, do you want to let us know what the first upcoming fixture is for the weekend?
Yes, so tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff is Tottenham Hotspur versus West Ham United, a London derby.
It certainly is. It's a bit of a feisty one as well. It's a bit of an unknown rivalry to some people. Obviously, Tottenham is always associated with the rivalry of Arsenal, and obviously they got one with Chelsea, but West Ham's quite a big rivalry for Spurs. So, how do you think that one's going to go, Joe?
I mean, I would expect a Tottenham whitewash.
Whitewash is a strong word.
In their new home. It is a very nice stadium, I must add. But yeah, West Ham don't really have much to play for. Pretty much, I think they are confirmed safe, and they can't really go anywhere. So, yeah, Tottenham obviously still fighting for top four, so I would expect them to go for it. Although I do think they're missing Harry Kane, so could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, Pagani, how are you feeling about Tottenham versus West Ham?
I think it's going to be close. I mean, we've got two of our good mates. We've got Steph and Tell, so those two are going to be at loggerheads for the day.
Yep, very true.
But no, I think Spurs will just edge it. They've got that little bit more class in the final third. I mean, even without Kane, you've still got Son, you've got Eriksen, you've got the likes of which West Ham could only dream of. So,
yeah. Well, have you got a score prediction for us, mate?
2-1 with Tottenham to score in the 89th minute.
We've got Terry Fisher, also known as FTRL Hammer Time, in the chat. He's a West Ham fan, saying that Declan Rice is back, Lanzini and Chicharito are back as well. But I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game for Spurs, personally. I'm also going to say 2-1 to Spurs. I think West Ham will score tomorrow. But I think it will be a lot tighter than what people think. But I'm going to say Spurs are going to edge it 2-1. So yeah, that's my score prediction. We've had a couple others coming in. Tell saying 2-2. Dan Summers is there saying 2-0 to West Ham. So some interesting predictions going on. Right, next game is Crystal Palace Everton. Now this is a really, really tough one to call. Obviously Dan's in there, he's an Everton fan, so I'm sure he's going to be biased. They're in good run of form. I'll kick this one off. I think Crystal Palace are a very, very dangerous team, as we saw against Arsenal during the week. And when the likes of Wilfried Zaha and so on are on fire, they can make Selhurst Park quite a difficult place to go. So I'm actually going to say 2-2 in this game.
Interesting.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. I think like you say, Everton are in good form. They've been playing really well against the big boys. I'm gonna go for an Everton 3-0.
Everton. Wow, that's very,
Wow.
very bold. Wow. Okay, Pagani.
I'm going for Everton to win it, but it's going to be a high-scoring affair for a 3-2.
A 3-2. Well, do you know what? Well, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest. I said I've gone for 2-2
Palace on
because
the counter.
yeah, I can see both teams scoring. So we've had Dan saying 1-0 Everton, Hammer Time saying Palace to win 2-1. Simon is in there, or Blue Flag as we know him, saying a Desmond, which is 2-2. Co-Andy saying Palace 2-1. So yeah, quite contradictory opinions on this game. It's getting towards that point of the season though, isn't it, where some teams are finding some form, other teams are dropping off, and obviously a lot of teams are still playing for stuff, so you never know what's going to happen on the day, as we can see by all of the sort of contradictory results that we've got in here so far. But next game, Joe?
So the next game is Fulham versus Cardiff City.
Yeah, this is again hard. Fulham obviously already down. Actually, I'll let you kick this one off, Joe. I'll let you kick this one off. We'll alternate.
Okay. Well, as you say, Fulham already down, and Cardiff still fighting to not go down. I think it'll be a very scrappy game. Both of these teams are the sort of teams that normally are defending, so it's going to be interesting to see them go up against each other. I think Cardiff will do it though. They're fighting for their lives at the moment with that possibility of still staying up. And I think they played very well against Chelsea. Got very unlucky to lose that, and I think they played very well against us. So yeah, I think they're going to edge it very close. I think it'll be a 2-1. I think Mitrovic will probably get one for Fulham, but I think Cardiff will just have that little bit more fight in them to get it over the line.
Oh, interesting. Mike Pagani, coming to you, mate.
I'm going for a Fulham 1-0. I mean, the players at Fulham are going to want to show that, oh look, come and buy me, because I don't want to play in the Championship next season. So.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to also go for a Fulham win. We saw they played. I think they beat Bournemouth last weekend, didn't they? At Bournemouth. So, I mean, Scott Parker's obviously at the Realm now, and they seem to be responding to him pretty well. I'm going to go for a Fulham win, and I'm going to say 2-1 to Fulham. I think Cardiff will probably score from a set piece, maybe level it up, but I think Mitrovic will frustrate them a lot. And Scott Parker's brought a little bit of new life to them. Like you quite rightly said, a lot of the Pagani, a lot of the players are going to be thinking, "Oh, come and buy me," kind of thing. I don't want to play in the Championship next season. So, yeah, I'm gonna edge Fulham 2-1. I think Cardiff might try a little bit too hard, and obviously they haven't really got much firepower up front because Umar Niasse is in. I don't even think he scored yet. So he's been there for like 3 months. So I can't see him scoring tomorrow. So so next one up is Southampton versus AFC Bournemouth, which is actually quite a rivalry right down on the south coast. So it's always quite a spicy game. Obviously Ralph Hasenhüttl, all the Southampton managers, revitalised them a little bit. But they're quite an unpredictable team, Southampton, as a Bournemouth. You never know what teams are going to turn up on the day. Bournemouth have obviously solidified mid-table now, as we kind of expected them to be. I think they can still finish in the top half with a couple of good results. And Southampton obviously are one of 3 teams that are really in the scrap for the last relegation spot. So Southampton have got more to lose in this game which is why I think they're going to win it. I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to do a 2-0 job on Bournemouth tomorrow. What are you thinking?
No, I agree. I think Southampton will take the win. I think they've just got that little bit more quality over Bournemouth. I think Southampton. They're coming into this game though after a 1-1 draw with Watford away, so not the best result, but yeah, I think Southampton will get that one done.
Yeah. Okay, Pagani, what are you saying?
I'm going for a 0-0, but I'm also claiming there's going to be 2 red cards.
Okay. Wow.
One for each team?
That's quite a
One for
bold
each
call.
team, and then everyone's going to play for a draw after that. So.
Well, bold call. Right, moving on. The 2 W's next.
Yeah, so Watford and Wolves. Tricky this one. I think Watford are a hard team to go away to, but I think the way Wolves are playing this season, I think they'll have that quality. I think Wolves will win that 2-0.
Oh, okay. Well, it's obviously a repeat of the FA Cup semi-final, isn't it? So that was quite a tasty game. Now, Wolves are a strange team because looking at some of their stats over the course of the season, they've had, they've had an insane record against the top 6. I think they've only lost maybe 2 games out of all of the ones they've played against the top 6 sides. Obviously, they beat us at our own patch of Arsenal, obviously, a few days ago. Absolutely wiped the floor with us. Their own patch. Sorry, we was at their ground. But then they drew with Brighton at home the week before. So again, Wolves they're a strange team. I don't know whether it's down to mentality. Maybe the crowd have quite a big influence there. But I mean, on the travels, they don't seem to be too bad. But I'm gonna be boring and go for a 1-1. I think it'll be 1-1. Pagani.
I like Wolves, and I think they play well when Neves plays well. So
Yeah, he's the key, isn't he?
If he gets an early free kick, I think it's going to be a 3-0.
I have an interesting stat. Okay. I have an interesting stat for you all. Now, Ruben Neves has scored more goals this season than he's had touches inside the opposition box all season.
He's one of those midfielders though that hit them from range.
Yeah, but I'm talking over the course of a whole season, he's had 3 touches in the opposition box all season. Right, 3 touches of a ball in the opposition box for the entirety of this season, and he scored 4 goals. So he scored more goals than what he's had touches in the opposition box, which is quite a stat, I think. If you look at it in the perspective of, even if the ball's dropped from, I know he takes most of the set pieces and whatever, but for whatever reason he could find himself on a break. I mean, that literally means he's controlled the ball, maybe touched it twice, and then he's equalled what he's done for the entirety of the season. So to think about it in that perspective, that's quite a stat, I think. So yeah, I mean, should be a close game. Evening kickoff is Brighton and Hove Albion versus Newcastle United. Obviously, we do have a Newcastle fan in the party, so we'll come to you first on this, Pagani. Obviously, you've got, Newcastle are all but confirmed as safe after their win the other day, which was a very good win with Iosi Perez scoring a hat-trick. But how are you feeling about this one?
Not very good. Almiron's gone for the rest of the season. Lascelles is missing a match through illness, I think. So we'll be fielding a weakened side, and I can't see us getting anything out of the game, to be honest. I think we're going to lose 1-0.
Yeah. Well, Co-Andy's come in straight away and said Brighton to win 1-0 as well. So I really don't know, because again, Brighton have been in such a shocking run of form. But then
1 in 6.
No, I mean, they went away to Wolves last weekend. They put on a very, very good performance. And defensively, for the first time in ages, they looked like the Brighton that we know. Obviously, Shane Duffy, Lewis Dunk, not the biggest names in football, but I mean, combined between the two of them, they've been outstanding for Brighton over the last few seasons. So I think when they play well, the team tend to play well and they don't really concede a lot of goals. And Newcastle, again, you never know who's going to turn up with Newcastle. Now, I think the key in this game is obviously going to be Salomon Rondon. I think he's been a bit of an unsung hero for Newcastle this season, to the kind of unknown eye. But I think his playing style will suit Duffy and Dunk. So I'm going to go boring and say I think it's going to be a 0-0.
Nah, disagree. I think Newcastle win that one 2-0.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't forget they've just lost Almiron for the rest of the season, and he was the one really making things tick. So
I still think they'll have enough.
And Lascelles.
Lascelles very good.
yeah, I don't think you'll concede. I think it's going to be
will without Lascelles.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not. It's all fallen. At least we're more or less safe, so it's sort of done. So we're not having to go there and win every game now. So it's better than it could have been.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a couple more comments coming in saying, Andy saying Brighton's still fighting for survival, so they've got something to play for still. I do agree, but they just seem to be in this real sort of slump, don't they? And we've been saying this for a few weeks now. Like they're sort of dropping down, and they don't really seem to have like that one player that really can sort of turn it on. They had that Pascal Gross last season, and he's not really played much at all. Their best player's been who's the Dutch guy plays centre midfield? I've had a complete brain fart. Davy Proper, that's it. He's been the one that sort of made things tick, and he's a bit more of a deep lying playmaker type position. But I think they've just lost him. Obviously, Knockhart was a bit of a loose cannon, got himself sent off for a disgusting tackle. But yeah, with like Andoni and Locadia and people like that, they've got goals in them, but no one that can really put it on a plate for them to score the goals. So
they've got it tough though, Brighton. I mean, you've got City the last game of the season, so they need to start picking up some results in the next two.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, moving on to Sunday. Obviously, we had the Liverpool Huddersfield game tonight, which Liverpool won. What was it in the end? 5-0.
5-0. Yeah.
Yeah, 5-0. So, I mean, that says everything we need to say about that. Now moving on to Sunday, 3 big games. Starting off with Joe.
Leicester and Arsenal.
Go on. Come to me last.
I'm sorry to say, but I think Leicester will get this one. Brendan Rodgers has got Leicester playing, pretty well since coming in. And Arsenal's away form, as shown at Wolves and many times across this season, is it's just not very good, is it? I think Jamie Vardy will grab a brace. I think Leicester will win it 2-0.
Okay, Pagani.
There's a few mistakes in that Arsenal team, as we've seen in the recent past. I think if you start with the man that shouldn't be named, but probably will be named, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, this is a half professional environment, so I mean, you can say his name, and I will try not to get too angry.
I think Iwobi hasn't started recently, but I think he's going to start this game, and if he does, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But because he can't kick his own foot, let alone a ball, so.
Yeah. What's your score? What are you going for?
I went 2-2.
2-2, okay.
I think if Lacazette comes on second half, he'll just nip 2 quick goals and you'll try and win it, but not follow through.
Well, Simon, or Blue Flag as we know him, has said that Vardy will rip Mustafi to shreds. And that is a statement that I pretty much agree with. I mean, we all know I'm a massive Arsenal fan, and obviously I want us to qualify for the Champions League this season. it really is a case of, I think it is going to be us or Chelsea. I can't see Tottenham slipping up now, and I can't see Man United getting in there. But I mean, obviously we'll come to the Chelsea game soon, but it's an opportunity for us this weekend because of the game which we'll mention later on between Chelsea and another side. But our away form has been absolutely shocking, and we're not in a good run at the minute. It makes no sense to me because we went away to Napoli, who have only lost once all season at home, and that was to Juventus, and that was narrow loss as well. We go away and beat them away without conceding, look fantastic, and then we lose 2 on the bounce in the Premier League away to Wolves and at home to Crystal Palace. So, if you really don't, I really don't know what to expect. I think we're going to lose. I think we're going to lose 2-1. But it's down to team selection. I think Emery needs to kind of let his pride go a little bit and kind of go with the sides, that are really going to pose a threat. If you look at the likes of Liverpool, Man City, teams like that are right up the top, that are doing well, they're playing their best players every single week, and they are, they're not rotating too much, and they're fielding their strongest sides to dominate games and put teams under pressure, whereas we play a lot of conservative lineups where we'll play, 3 at the back, which Arsenal just can't do. We'll leave either Lacazette or Aubameyang on the bench. We'll leave Ramsey on the bench, who's leaving for free, which is a fucking disgrace. And then we'll play people like Alex Iwobi, who's an absolute fucking spastic. Henrik Mkhitaryan, who looks like, he looks like the sort of bloke who should be working in like a little shop on the corner of a high street selling like used chairs. Do you know what I mean? He just doesn't seem to have it in him anymore. He just gives the ball away too much for my liking. But if you gave me the option between Iwobi and Mkhitaryan, I'd take Mkhitaryan every single day of the week. So, depending on the on the starting lineup, we could snatch something, but I do think we're going to lose this one 2-1. So, right, coming on to you, Mr. Burns. Oh no, it's me to release this next one. Yeah. So, the next game is Burnley versus Manchester City. A massive game.
Big one.
Okay, so I'll kick this one off. I think this is going to be a draw. I think this is going to be 1-1. And the reason I say this is because Burnley have come into this... They've regenerated themselves as this really, really difficult, horrible team to play against. They'll get in your faces. They'll defend with their lives. Every single player will work their arses off. Earlier on in the season, we didn't see that with Burnley, and now we're starting to see it. And Turf Moor, when they're in that sort of form, they're such a pain in the arse to play against. I think City are going to slip up. I think 1-1.
As much as I would enjoy that, I don't think it's going to happen. I think City will have the quality they need to eventually break Burnley down. And I think it'll probably finish 2-3-0. I mean, Manchester City have not dropped points, in over 3 months, which is just that is ridiculous form.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just completely mental. So yeah, I think Burnley will, they'll do well. I think they'll probably get to half time 0-0. Like City found it, quite hard to break United down. But they have that quality to eventually break the door down. So I think they'll get that one done.
Yeah. Well, Pagani, what are you saying?
Like you both say, I think it's going to be 0-0 at half time, but then 4 or 5 minutes after the break, someone in Burnley's defence is going to get a red card for a rash challenge.
Well, I think you've predicted about 8 red cards this weekend.
Lots of red cards.
I mean, if you're defending against everything Man City's got, there's going to be a challenge here and there. And if you pick one yellow up, then that's your game. You can't really challenge for much else the rest of the game.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
If one of them gets sent off, I think there's going to be a bucket load of goals going in. So I think it's going to be 4-0 to City.
Wow. Okay. Ooh, he's gone
that
big.
Would upset me.
Yeah. I mean, if City do go on to away to Burnley and win like 3-4-0, then it's
They'll get the job done.
yeah. I think they'll go on to win it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean it's going to be whatever way it's going to be. Whoever loses the Premier League is going to be incredibly harsh on them because any other season they would absolutely walk it. So
Yeah.
right,
I mean, both teams at this point have got more points than any of United's Premier League winning teams.
yeah,
So that just shows how close it is.
and just shows how much better they are than United. But you know,
Aaron, you've got Coendy excited, so maybe stop doing that.
yeah, don't get me. Sorry, Andy,
Poor
mate.
Andy.
Sorry, and Ravens is in the saying, hello, Mikatari News Chair Sales Limited. How can I help? Yeah, you see what I mean though. You know, like how people get like go to like a charity shop and just give away loads of like old furniture and stuff like this, and then Mikatari is a sort of bloke that would go in there. He'd take them all home to his little workshop that he's got with the really really old fashioned stuff, and he'd sort of re-shine them up, and he'd stand outside his house or like a little corner shop, selling them all off and just shouting at people across the road to come and look at his goods. That's what Mkhitaryan looks like to me, but you know,
Sounds a bit racist.
that's not racist
Anyway,
at all.
next game.
Big game as well. Last one before we move on.
Huge. United against Chelsea. Now,
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't quite know how this one will go because Chelsea, Arsenal, and United have slipped up. All of them in the last two games that they've played. They've all had a chance to get that 3-point gap on each other, and then they've all lost.
All bottled it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big chance for one of these guys. You know, especially if Leicester beat you at home. But yeah, I mean, Chelsea not playing very well. United also just, you know, they looked horrible in that second half against City. I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Well, okay, Pagani, coming to you before we wrap this up.
Again, I see it being a feisty game. I'm not going to say any red cards this time. But, I mean, if Man United play Phil Jones, then, I mean, there's going to be some faces pulled. And not just from the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the international man of mystery, Paul Pogba. He's probably going to be playing that game. So if he turns, if the Paul Pogba from the World Cup turns up, Man United will win the game. If the Paul Pogba that's played all season turns up, it's Chelsea's win.
Yeah.
So 1-1, I think.
I'm gonna go. Also gonna go 1-1. I think a part of me thinks United are going to win it because Chelsea.
Pogba penalty.
Well, we won't know till next week with that fucking run up he does.
That's true.
But yeah, I'm going to say a little about this game because, as we can all see, the next one is the PFA team of the season, and we all know who got into that, and we all know how I'm going to react to this when I get talking about it. So I warn you, and I tell you all in advance, please make sure that you stay very, very close to your headphones, to your phone, whatever you're watching this on, because I'm going to get very, very, very wound up in probably about 10 minutes. So, yeah, get the popcorn out and make sure you're all settled down because I'm not going to hold back. Yeah, but I'm going to say 1-1. I think if anyone's going to win it, I think it'll be United. I feel like, you know, losing to City is a real kick in the backside, and I think Solskjaer now is going to really sort of grill his players. He started to publicly call them out a little bit, and I think that they will respond because, I mean, all in all, they didn't play that bad against City, I didn't think, but City just proved their quality.
Definitely picked their game up against City coming off the back of that Everton result.
Yeah, and the thing is, if they want any chance of qualifying for the Champions League, then they need to win this game. It literally is as simple as that, because otherwise they'll then be how many points behind Chelsea if they lose this? Like 6, 7.
Yeah, so if Chelsea win, United would be 6 behind.
Exactly. So, and then that's as good as game over, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean that's what they need to do. Yeah. So Hammer Time
Some
95.
interesting scores in the chat.
Yeah, Hammer Time 95 saying 2-1 to us. He's a United fan. Coandy saying Chelsea 3-0. Simon saying I'm going to get the popcorn. I highly recommend it. And then Ravens Avengers come out of an absolutely fucking ridiculous comment. So
Pogba should get the Ballon d'Or.
yeah,
I think that would push Aaron over the edge.
Pogba to get the Ballon d'Or, that would make a lot more sense.
Coandy's also said, just remember, Liverpool had a 10-point advantage at one point. I don't think this gets discussed enough.
It doesn't.
I mean,
and yeah,
to add to that though, it was 10 points, but City had a game in hand. So 10 equate was 7 points when they won their game.
but did they or did they not have a 10-point gap, regardless of a game in hand? Did they or did they not?
Yes, okay,
Exactly.
but regardless of that, before we had that 10-point gap, City also had a 7-point gap to us, and they threw that away. In the time when we were 7 points clear, on level games, we had drawn 3 games in that run, and that's how they caught us. We didn't lose any. I think we drew to West Ham, drew away to Everton, and drew away to United. None of those are bad results, but just how good City are. They just capitalise.
Yeah, exactly. Well, without further ado, let's move on. PFA team of the season. We will start off with the goalkeeper. Work further forward down the pitch. We'll go in order. As we go through, we'll have a brief discussion about. I mean, some players have, they've put themselves in that team, and we won't have to say too much about them. But obviously, there is a couple in there that could be up for discussion. So when we get to those positions, please comment in this stream who you feel like deserved or potentially could have had a shout of getting in there. Maybe the person that's already in there might have justified and locked down that position, but even if you think there's a couple of players in there that could have been in with a shout, please still comment those as well, and we will we'll go through that because we're always keen to know. So the first one, so Edison in goal. Yeah, I mean,
I disagree with that.
It's between two, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, realistically, most of this team obviously is
Man City, Liverpool.
City and Liverpool, and technically, most of the positions it could either be the City or the Liverpool alternative. It could be the City or Liverpool option in each position. So, I mean, Edison, Alisson, Alisson.
I mean, I've got the stats here in front of me. I mean, Alisson has just simply had a better season. I think the only reason Edison has been put in that team is because City are currently top of the league. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought you were going to say because he was black, but I thought that doesn't come into it, does it? So.
No, I mean, like I said, I've got the stats here. Alisson's had more clean sheets, less goals conceded, more saves per match, higher success rate of saves, more punches in the box. The same with sort of claims and clearances and stuff like that. But in terms of throwing out and starting counter attacks and getting the play going again, Alisson's had 182 of those, and Edison's had 150. So.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I personally would have had Alisson myself, but
as would I.
I mean, if you're going to be honest, the type of goalkeeper that Edison is, he's a very risky goalkeeper. Like he's so quick off of his line. He makes the odd, the very very odd mistake. But what impresses me about Edison so much is his ability on the ball. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I still think Alisson should be in this team, and I'm not taking that away from him at all. But all I'm saying is, on Edison's point of view, I've never seen a goalkeeper that good on the ball and that composed when he's got strikers chasing him down and everything like this, and he's got players around his players right in front of him, and he still 99% of the time manages to find that pass and start them off again. And I think that's what's so impressive about him. But I do agree that he should have. I mean, Alisson should have been in the team, but equally, Edison does deserve to be in the team of the season as well. But Yeah, I mean, given the choice, I would have had Alisson. So,
I mean,
Can
how
I
many
make a
times in the
point to
chat's
valid?
put,
Go on.
you've only got more clean sheets because of Van Dijk, which I completely disagree with. Because, as
Too
I've
good.
said, his save success is higher. So even when they got past Van Dijk, he still made the saves. I mean, Edison hasn't got crap in front of him. He's got Company and Laporte, two of the most expensive defenders in the world. So, yeah. We'll
Yeah.
move on.
Right, left back. Go on.
Hang
Sorry,
on,
go
hang
on.
on, hang on.
Sorry,
Just a point
sorry,
to
sorry.
validate what Aaron was saying earlier about Edison being quick off his mark, and I mean, the only other person that was considered close to him before the start of the season with his distribution and all that was Jordan Pickford, and I mean, we've all seen what happened with him this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went a bit down.
Edison is the case in point when it goes right. Pickford is the choice when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like, at the start of the season, there was not much basically between either of them, but Edison is probably first or second choice keeper in the league. So, I mean, he's proved what he can do, but I mean, there isn't really a wrong option between Edison and Alisson.
No, I agree with you
I
on
mean,
that.
let's not forget this is Alisson's first season in the Premier League as well.
Yep.
Edison's been here, what, two seasons, 3 seasons?
Yeah. Yeah. Right, let's move on. Left back. So Andy Robertson. I don't think there can be much argument to that.
Nah, I mean, I'm just going to make it easy now. I wouldn't change that back line personally. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Paul Dummett?
Well, I mean, if we're all happy, so the back lines: Robertson, Laporte, however you want to say it, Van Dijk and Alexander Arnold. Yeah, I pretty much agree. Obviously, you have got Kyle Walker, but then I do think Alexander Arnold's been better than him this season. He's got a lot more assists, and I mean, for a lad of his age, he has been absolutely outstanding, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves from kind of everyone, if that makes sense. Like, people always associate England's number one right back, Kyle Walker or Kieran Trippier. In my opinion, after this season, it should be Alexander Arnold every single day of the week. I think he's been absolutely superb. Ravens are in saying Lucas Digne should have been in there, which I thought that comment might come through.
Ravens needs to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, between Alexander Arnold and Robertson this season, they've got 21 assists between them.
Yeah, it's
And I
insane,
think
isn't it?
today, Robertson, I think, got 2 assists today. So he's now equalled the all-time record for the most assists from a defender in a season. And considering he cost £8 million
From Hull, wasn't it?
is just that's great business in my opinion.
Yeah. When you signed him, I thought, what are they doing? I thought that's a really strange buy, but no, I mean, fair play to him. I mean, I think that whole back line, so Robertson, Laporte, Van Dijk, Alexander Arnold. I mean, I don't think there's any arguments to it. So I think we'll swiftly move on to the midfield. Go on,
Can I mention
Pagani.
a name that's close? It's not up there, but he's very close, and that's Shah for Newcastle.
Do you know what? A couple of people
He's had a fantastic season.
Do you know what? A couple of people have said that, and a few of the actual proper pundits have said Shah as well. So, I mean, if it wasn't for the seasons that the top two have had, I think he would have had more of a shout than what he's actually had.
I mean, he's kept us in the league, basically. I mean, he's put his body on the line. He's done everything right. But, I mean, because we're not Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, we don't get a look in ever. I mean, we've had one player nominated for, the last 20 years, and that was Shearer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, like I said, he's had a brilliant season. But if you look at the like of Laporte and Van Dijk and what they have done this season, I think they obviously just moved that on to the next level, didn't they, a little bit?
You've got Simon mentioning Socrates, by the way.
Socrates, absolute geezer. I love him.
He celebrates every tackle like a match
Every single
winner.
tackle he celebrates, like he's nodded in the winner of a World Cup final. He loves it. But it's what we've needed. But anyway, right, moving on. We'll go to the midfield, but we'll start from right to left because I need to compose myself. First of all, Bernardo Silva. I mean,
I don't agree with that.
Cracking player.
You don't agree? You don't agree? He should be in there.
What?
No, I mean he deserves to be in there, but in my
right, I was
opinion,
gonna
De
say.
Bruyne deserves to be in there more.
Wow.
I would say De Bruyne, but he's been injured for a lot of this season.
That's
But when he
That's
hasn't been
genuinely
injured,
shocked me.
he has been quality. And Kevin De Bruyne, in my opinion, is the best attacking midfielder in the league.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think if there's anybody, I mean, don't get me wrong, Fernandinho, else who's obviously playing next to him. You know, I mean, he's obviously a very, very important player for City. But if you're going to replace Kevin De Bruyne with one of them two, I'd replace Fernandinho over Kevin De Bruyne. But yeah, I mean, that's just my. I mean, Bernardo Silva. The way I see him, right, I look at him and think to myself, he has like the physique and the play style of like Juan Mata and someone like that. He's very small, all left foot, no strength or anything like that. But what I love about Bernardo Silva is he's just his work rate. He's an absolute animal. Like, he's got such an engine on him, and he plays box to box from the right wing sometimes, and he'll go back and he'll make like a last ditch tackle against somebody that's like, you know, twice his build and about, you know, a foot taller than him. And I think to myself, do you know what? He epitomises what young players and what, you know, kids that are aspiring to be a footballer, even if they're tiny, that's exactly the sort of player that they should be looking at and thinking, right, well, if he does that, I can do that kind of thing. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal this season, Bernardo Silva. And I think he was well within a shout of, obviously, but for Van Dijk and Sterling, and obviously Mane, he's well firmly inside that top four players of the season. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple of comments coming in just before we move on saying, question, why does the team of the year have to be position based? Why can't it be the 11 best players of the league regardless of position? That's a good point. It is a good point. I think
it's kind of in the name. It is, you know, team of.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, suppose. But no, I agree though. I mean, if you could,
No, I mean it's a good point. Yeah.
it is a good point. I mean, you could obviously argue on the basis of having just like a list of the best players, you know, regardless of position, because there are a couple of people that have missed out on this list that I think deserve massive recognition from this season.
Matt Ritchie.
But I mean that's where you have the nominees for the Player of the Year, though, isn't it? Where you have like a top six and all that sort of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
the Team of the Year is purely, you know, a team of what you would consider the best player in that position. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, obviously, Fernandinho next. Obviously, we mentioned him with, you know, potentially getting replaced by Kevin De Bruyne. But, again, like how Andy said, very, very good point. Fernandinho is probably Man City's most irreplaceable player. I agree.
I'd keep him in there.
Yeah, I do think he deserves to be in there. I think he's been brilliant. I think Wijnaldum's been superb for Liverpool this season. But I do think, you know, given the two and what sort of role he does for the team, I would have Fernandinho. I think Fabinho's been class as well for Liverpool, but obviously not quite Player of the Year or Team of the Year material. But I feel like he's going to then do what Fernandinho does for City. He's going to take that to Liverpool and transform that as well. I think he's going to really push that sort of player, that sort of, what sort of word I'm looking for, that sort of role that Fernandinho plays. I think he's going to take that and move that on another level. I think he's going to be fantastic. But yeah,
Next up,
yeah,
your
right.
favourite.
Brace yourselves.
I think we can all agree he shouldn't be in there, but now we can just sit back and let you rant.
Yeah, so I'm going to rant on this, and I'm going to swear, and I'm going to say some horrible, horrible, horrible things. So yeah, kick back and relax on this one. So
Hashtag quit dab.
yeah, the third player in this midfield is Paul fucking Pogba. Now, somebody on this earth needs to enlighten me in an actual serious way as to how on earth this fucking pile of shit cunt has managed to get themselves in the team of the season. What the fuck has he done? He scored what? Fair enough, he scored, 13 goals in the Premier League this season, 10 penalties. Fair enough,
Yeah.
designated penalty taker. Aubameyang scored loads of penalties. Fair enough, I understand that part. He scored a few goals. Paul Pogba played for Man United. He came through their youth system. They ranted and raved about him like he was going to be the next massive thing in world football. And then they let him go for, 125 grand to Juventus. And that was only compensation fees. So essentially, they let him go for fucking nothing. They then buy him back 2 or 3 years later for 80 million fucking pound. 80 million. Which is fucking stupid money. Absolutely stupid money for someone like him. He played well at Juventus because he had all of them players around him that basically did the Italian way of playing football is, we'll work hard as a team, as a unit. They're very well drilled. Pogba was the loose cannon that was allowed to do whatever he likes. Now, Juventus are fucking laughing because they've sold him back for 80 million fucking quid to United. But what gets me about Pogba, before I even get into anything to do with this season, when he come back to Man United, right, he went, I don't want my price tag to be, I don't want to be judged on my price tag. Fair enough, I understand that point. So why, when you then come back, do you release a fucking video with Stormzy doing a song, dancing and dabbing, wearing gold fucking shoes and some earrings and some fucking coloured stripes in your head, if you don't want to be, known or judged for any other reason other than the fact if you've come back to a team. You've come back for 80 million fucking quid. You've announced yourself with a fucking song with a rapper. Then you've gone and released yourself a pair of gold football boots. And then you've sprayed some colour in your fucking hair. If you don't want attention, don't behave like a cunt, first of all. That's my first point for the matter. My second point is, other than that small run over Christmas, or just after Christmas when Solskjaer come in, he scored against Burnley, he scored against Huddersfield, he scored against Fulham, scored against Bournemouth, that sort of calibre of team. No disrespect to those teams at all. Other than that, he's done absolutely fuck all this season. He went, when Solskjaer came in and they went on that run, in the home leg against PSG in the Champions League, Pogba is in the best form of his entire season, flourishing, and the whole media's going mad about him. He makes one successful pass and gets in everyone's team of the week because he's fucking Paul Pogba. He plays against PSG at home, plays like an absolute twat, and then he gets himself sent off. So it automatically puts his team in a shit position, which luckily, if they hadn't have dug him out of fucking trouble, they'd have been out of the Champions League as well. So that's one reason. Another reason is, I watched him play the other night against Manchester City, and some people were going, Paul Pogba was Man United's best player on that night. Fuck right off. I watched him pick up the ball in the centre of midfield with nobody around him, and he attempted, and I do that in inverted quotes, he attempted to drive at Manchester City's defence. He picked up the ball and ran like he did with his fucking penalties, and then he got smashed by Bernardo Silva, who lost the ball. City then went on and basically scored from one of the next attacks. Paul Pogba didn't then turn around and start sprinting back. He turned around and walked back and thought to himself, it's alright, I'm Paul Pogba, I can fucking walk. And you think to yourself, players like Mesut Ozil, just as a prime example of me being an Arsenal fan, first player to come to my head, people go, you can't sign Mesut Ozil for £42.5 million and not expect to get a work rate out of him, not expect to get an engine out of him, and not expect him to do all of the things that are required that all of the other players do on the pitch. Why is that any different to fucking Paul Pogba? He cost half the money that Pogba did, and Pogba's done absolutely fuck all, and then he gets himself put in the team of the season for it. It's an absolute fucking disgrace, and this is exactly what is wrong with football. That is my rant done with Paul Pogba. Would you like to take over, Joe?
I don't quite know how to follow that up. Other than, we mentioned Kevin De Bruyne before. You mentioned Paul Pogba's price tag and how little he does for United. 80 million and Kevin De Bruyne cost City 55. You see the golfing class is quite extraordinary. Yeah.
It's a joke, mate. It's a joke. Like I said, I mean, fair enough, I was ranting big time then because it was just all flooding out of me. But what frustrates me, you look at Paul Pogba when he pulls on the France shirt, and I'll give you it. He impresses me a lot. I thought he played pretty well in the World Cup. I didn't think he was France's best player, but I thought he played pretty well for what sort of levels he had been playing at. But I remember when France played against England, Paul Pogba was superb, and I've seen him play some games for France, and he's been brilliant.
No, man, I mean, that was a French team at the World Cup carried by Mbappe and Griezmann.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, but he played alright in the World Cup. You know, he didn't. I think he scored twice. One of which was like a massive deflection and whatever. He didn't really get any assists or anything, but his general game was a lot better than what it has been, and I'll be the first one to admit that. He then comes into the season, and he's just been tragic, mate. He's just been absolutely tragic. The thing is, he doesn't even know what his position is, whether he's deep lying or whether he's in like a number 10 or whether he's box to box, because most of the time he's over on the left-hand side, so he leaves people like Matic who can't run and Herrera having to do the running for the other two of them. You know, there's so many more players in the Premier League. Like, in my opinion, Paul Pogba was probably not even like 10th on the shortlist to fill that last team of the year spot in midfield. If you look at the likes of Son, Hazard, De Bruyne, there's loads of people. Like, I don't understand what he's done to warrant that position. So yeah, I really don't understand it. So yeah, I mean, is there anything more on him before we move on?
But personally, I think he did deserve his place in the team, and I think you're completely wrong.
Right, well, you're just saying that to annoy me, so...
It was nice knowing you, Pagani.
Yeah, you're just saying that to annoy me. But the thing is, right, go on.
He's obviously just got in there because he's friends with somebody at FIFA. No, he's got there based on his name, based on his reputation, which isn't what football should be about.
Based on a price tag is why he's in that team.
He's basically...
It should be the people that want to play, not the people that, oh look, I can do a new dance, look at me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compare Paul Pogba to Matt Ritchie. Matt Ritchie puts his heart, his life, everything on the line just to clear a ball, and he will kick the crap out of you if you get in his way. Even if you're his teammate, he doesn't care. He's there to do a job. He does the job and gets on with it.
Yeah.
No malarkey, no anything. Paul Pogba? Oh, there's a ball. Yeah, I'll go kick that, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I've missed it. Okay. He's basically Alex Iwobi Mark too.
Yeah. The frustrating thing about Pogba is, you know, let's not beat around the bush. He has got ability in him. You know, there's nobody can argue that. He's got tons and tons of ability, but he just picks and chooses when he wants to put that on show, and you know, it really infuriates me because there's so many people that work their asses off. Prime example, like I said, Pagani, Matt Ritchie, people like that. You know, fair enough. He's been really good for you this season, Matt Ritchie, but obviously he's not anywhere near the team of the season. But people like him that will roll their sleeves up and they'll prepare themselves and they'll give everything for their career, whereas somebody that's just making the most of a bit of natural ability that they've got and feeling like they've not got to do anything. Now, I just think that the fact he got picked, like I said, epitomises exactly what's wrong with football and the direction football's going in. And like I said, it's got nothing to do with the fact I'm an Arsenal fan or how much I hate Man United or anything like this, because I would always be honest, and there's no two ways about that. But I just think, like I said to you, it's just an absolute disgrace that he's got in there. And I think most of the actual professional pundits have agreed with that as well. I don't think any of them have put Pogba in their team of the season. So yeah, right, moving on. Front three: Sadio Mane, Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling. I don't think there's any arguments for Mane and Sterling, but could there be an argument for Aguero?
I mean, I'm going to actually disagree with you there. I was going to say there'd be no argument for Aguero and Sterling, but I'd actually say maybe the only player you could swap out was Mane.
No,
But I
I
mean, the
don't
other
think
player you
so.
put in is Salah. Um, other than that, I think the front three is fine.
Well, thing is, if you look at what they've done with Pogba, right, and they've stuck him in there, fair enough. He scored 13 Premier League goals, 10 of which were penalties, and all this, that, and the other. Fair enough, Mohamed Salah. I mean, people have disregarded him like he's had a bad season. He's currently the Premier League top goal scorer after tonight, and fair enough. He's not been as much of a standout performer because he basically put himself on a pedestal after last season. He came out the blue and had this incredible season, and people were expecting him to do that every single week, which really realistically isn't going to happen. And I'm not just saying this because of teams or anything like this, but if they've put Paul Pogba in there because of goals he scored this season or anything like that, then why has there been absolutely zero mention of Aubameyang over Aguero in here? Because effectively, it's exactly the same concept. Aubameyang scored, the same amount of goals as Aguero, maybe one less. And he's played a hell of a lot less minutes than Aguero this season. He's been Arsenal's saving fucking grace for being anywhere near the top four. But, and I'm not saying he should be in there, because I don't think he should, but he wasn't even mentioned once in this whole process. So, he's played considerably less minutes and everything like this, and if it wasn't for him, Arsenal would not be in the position that they're in. So,
You could argue that's the same though with Aguero. You could argue without his goals, so he won't be top.
yeah. But I mean, I think Sterling scored more than, hasn't he?
Nah, Sterling's on 17.
Oh, fair enough. Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, Co-Andy said Jimenez for Wolves is a shout. That will get onto him, where that he's going to be a topic of discussion later on. But I mean, I don't think that you couldn't really argue much. Salah and Aguero, I think, is the only one that is up for discussion.
Yeah.
But Mane, I don't think. I mean, I think Mane's been your best player personally. I think he's been out of this world. He scares me to watch him play. I think he's a phenomenal player. Sterling's come on like I thought he would under Pep, but he's kind of exceeded what I thought he would be. And the thing is about Sterling as well is he's still not anywhere near the best finisher at all. And you think to yourself, he's missed so many chances this season, but he's still within a shout of, being right up there with the top goal scorers. He's been phenomenal, Raheem Sterling.
Still 24 years old.
Exactly. This is the scary thing about it, isn't it? Look, Ravens Revenge. Sigurdsson scored 13 goals this season. It's exactly the same as Paul Pogba. Do you know what I mean?
Got a goldie against Pogba, isn't it?
Yeah, he's at work. Yeah, exactly. But, right, so team of the season is complete. So moving on to player of the season. So obviously the next few are going to be, or next couple are going to be fairly short conversations, and then we'll discuss the last couple of topics. But player of the season, obviously the short list was, Virgil van Dijk, Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, Sadio Mane,
and Hazard and Aguero.
So, I mean, Hazard, Aguero, they've both been fantastic as they normally are, but I don't think you can put them, in the top sort of couple. Bernardo Silva, I don't think is very far off of Sterling and Van Dijk, and neither do I think Mane is either. But I think they're kind of categorised in twos. I think Aguero and Hazard are probably fifth and sixth best players. I would say Bernardo Silva and Mane probably third and fourth. But I think it really is between Virgil van Dijk and Raheem Sterling. So I know there's this rumour of Van Dijk has apparently already won it. It's just not been announced yet. But I mean, I'm interested to know everybody's thoughts on
I mean,
who
Colandi's
they'd
just made
pick.
the point of how can Hazard be a nominee for Player of the Season, but not be in the Team of the Season? And I'm going
Exactly.
to answer that, and that's because the other three that were at the top of the Team of the Season are also on the nominees.
Yeah.
In Aguero, Sterling, and Mane. So probably why I didn't get in.
But then you say that, could Hazard have not been in that team where Pogba is, because Bernardo Silva's played out wide most of the season. So
True. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that depends where you move people about. In that case, it just gets weird.
exactly.
Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but Mike Pagani, going to come to you first, mate. Give us your thoughts on your team of the season. Give us your top three from third down to first.
I mean, it's very difficult to separate some of these boys. I mean, like Sterling and Van Dijk. I mean, the two very, very different players bring very different things to a team. But third place, I mean, Bernardo Silva's just been class all season. So,
Sorry, please do this in the stream as well. Give us first, second, and third in order of who you'd put out of those six players. Don't start putting Iwobi and that lot in there. So
I'm
out of
just
the
going
six
top
players,
three 'cause I'm
yeah,
too
yeah,
lazy.
yeah. That's all we'll want. Top three, top three in order.
I'm going to put Van Dijk second
Oh, okay.
because I think the influence that Sterling's brought to Man City this season has been fantastic. I mean, he's brought the one thing his game was missing, which was goals. He's brought that to the table. So what else can you ask from a player?
Yeah.
So for me, Sterling wins it.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I mean, I can't argue with what Pagani said. To be fair to him, Sterling's really stepped up his game this season, and regardless of whether it's him or Van Dijk winning it, I think both players deserve to win it. Yeah, I mean, Van Dijk's obviously made a huge difference to Liverpool. Talking from a team fighting for top four to Champions League final, and Premier League challenges within a year and a half. So really transformed the defense. Obviously, Alisson helped coming in at the start of the season, but coming in January last season, you could see the difference he made to that defense. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue with Sterling either. So
Yeah, it's mad. Remco's in the saying, is this only about the Premier League? Not, well, mainly. We will obviously branch out. This is only the third one that we're doing, but we're going to put a lot more effort into this now because it's something we're going to really try and kick on and do. Then we're going to go a bit more international with it, but it's mainly about the Premier League tonight, mate. Yeah. In terms of my vote, I'd probably go for Sadio Mane third. As much as I love Bernardo Silva and think he's been fantastic, I just think that although Salah's scored more, I think Mane's been your most effective and influential player going forward this season. That's just my opinion. I would put him third. I would go Sterling second. And I'd put Van Dijk first. The only reason I would make that decision is because with the way that Man City play and the way that they're lined up and their sort of style and what Pep's done with them, yes, Raheem Sterling has been absolutely phenomenal and he scored an absolute ton of goals. I just feel like if Sterling was out of the team, City would still be winning. I think if you take Virgil van Dijk out of that Liverpool team, they would probably be winning as well. But if you compare the partnerships that they've got, like Sterling's got Aguero or Gabriel Jesus and he's got Bernardo Silva next to him, whereas Virgil van Dijk's either got Joel Matip or Dejan Lovren. Now,
however, Joe Gomez is back.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying that as a couple of alternatives. If you took Joel Matip or Dejan Lovren and put them with pretty much any other if you took the best defender from every single Premier League club and put either Lovren or Matip next to it, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. However, you put Virgil van Dijk next to every team's best defender, that improves it an insane amount. I think the influence he's had on Liverpool, he's been probably... If you didn't have Van Dijk this season, I don't think you would be as close to the title as you are now. Whereas if City didn't have Sterling, I still think City would be up there at the top of the table.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I'm going for that. Crest said Bernardo Silva third, Sterling second, and Van Dijk first. Ravers has said, personally, banter aside, I think Van Dijk has been more key for his team than Sterling. Sterling's been amazing, but Van Dijk has galvanised that Liverpool defence. Man City can get goals and assists, yeah, obviously without Sterling. So yeah, basically said what I've said there. So yeah, I think a lot of people share that opinion. So yeah, I think Van Dijk deserves to win it as well. So Carl Andy coming in saying his leadership qualities at the back are superb. His organisation, his awareness is unreal. Obviously talking about Van Dijk. So yeah, I think a lot of people share the same opinion as us. Now let's swiftly move on. Coming back to you first, Pagani, manager of the season.
It's between a few, isn't it? I mean, you got the top candidates, which is like your Klopps and your Guardiolas. I mean, they're anticipated up there. But I mean, some of the lower few clubs. I mean, you've got Eddie Howe's done a sterling job at Bournemouth once again. You've got the Wolves manager, name forgets me for now.
Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yep. There you go. I mean, yes, he's had a lot of Portuguese players brought into the team, but he's worked wonders with them. But being a Newcastle fan, it's only one choice for me, and that's Rafa.
Yeah, I mean, you have got one of the best managers in the world, I think.
Yeah, without doubt.
And I think
if we didn't have Rafa, we would have been relegated this season.
Yeah, well,
no doubt.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think there's a few candidates for it. I think obviously Rafa's done an incredibly good job keeping them up. I think the Wolves manager has done an incredible job with Wolves. Yeah, he's basically what... I know Ravers and that won't like me saying this, and I apologise in advance, but he's basically... And I know they might not even get sort of 7th this season, but to me, the way I view Wolves is how I used to view Everton. Like, they were like that one team you hated going away to, and the team that you knew were always going to take points off of the top 6, and that team that, you know, were probably best of the rest out of the entire league. That's how I view Wolves at the moment.
Nuno Santo is what Everton would have wanted in Marco Silva.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Ravers has come in and said Pochettino, third in the Prem, Champions League semi-final, all while they move to a new stadium. Harry Kane's been injured twice and somehow get Llorente to score.
And they haven't signed anybody.
Yeah. Wolves have done some unbelievable business in the summer transfer window. I mean, yeah, there's loads of options. I do think, however, the manager of the season, as much as I hate going for something like this, I think it will have to go to the manager that wins the Premier League, purely on the basis of how tight that's been at the top of that table this season. If Guardiola does that again after the challenge that Liverpool have put in, then it just solidifies why he's so good. And if Jurgen Klopp can finally break that curse and win the Premier League with Liverpool, I know Van Dijk and the players that he signed has obviously had a massive influence, but I absolutely love Jurgen Klopp.
Got to sign players to fight for the Premier League title.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it's purely got to go to whoever wins the Premier League, and I hate saying that, but it's just me being honest. But I'm assuming you're going to go for Klopp, Joe.
No. I mean, he's been said quite a lot already, but I think Nuno Santo would be my manager of the season. Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, Andy's put an interesting statement in and said, I think Tottenham are a better team without Kane. Wow.
Do you know what? I used to think the same about Gerrard. So towards the end of his career, we used to play better without Gerrard than we did with him, because when you have a player like that in your team, you focus on what they're doing and you always try and get the ball to them, and you sort of leave it up to them to do it all. Whereas without them in the team, you take them out, you've got so much more freedom across the team. You've got, you get goals then from people where you wouldn't normally get goals from. So
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, okay, so yeah, that's a few differentiating opinions, but like I said, I hate having to go for the sort of manager that wins it and stuff like that. That sort of stuff really annoys me. But I just think, given the battle that's gone on for the Premier League this season, I just think to myself, whoever comes out on top of that is just, I suppose I view it from a sense of, like I said, I've managed at non-league level and stuff like this, and I know how difficult it is even at that sort of level. So to do it under that pressure with that amount of people, every single signing, every single decision that you make being so crucial, I can relate to how fucking difficult that is to probably just 1% of what they have to do. So I just have that kind of respect for them. Cress and Son should have been in the team of the season. Now that's another one that I'd also agree with, but with
I don't think Son gets in there with the players that are in there.
well, no, but I'm saying
he's close, but
in terms of Son, you couldn't put him in midfield. He'd have to be in one of the front three, and I think that the front three, he doesn't get in over those. But I do agree that he deserves to be in there, but he shouldn't be in there over any of the front three that are currently in there.
He'd be on the bench.
Oh God, yeah. Right, so we'll move on to buy of the season. So, but it's pretty much what it says on the tin, really. We've shortlisted, I think it's 8 players that we feel like have been the best buys of the 2018-19 season. Obviously, this is just what we come up with between us. You may agree or disagree with some of the choices, but we'll talk about each. And please give us your opinions on them. So do you want to go through this list, Joe, or do you want to start us off and then we'll talk about each player briefly?
Yeah, I mean you can do. So the first player I wrote down, obviously being a Liverpool fan, is Alisson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we spoke about Alisson earlier on, didn't we? We won't sort of repeat ourselves with him, but yeah, I mean the impact he's had on Liverpool is just what you've been crying out for, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Right. So Alisson's obviously the first choice. Who's second on the list, Joe?
I went for Torreira.
Lucas Torreira.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll obviously share my opinions about him, but Pagani, have you got anything you want to say on Torreira? Obviously, no banter, being serious.
Well, he's what Arsenal have craved for about the last 5 seasons. He's the pit bull that just attacks everything and fights for every ball. Will run back, will do everything he need to. Really, you need another one to replace Iwobi. Just if you had 2 Torreiras and 1 less Iwobi, I mean, Arsenal will be up there.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a fan's perspective, and I'm sure Simon or Blue Flag will vouch for me on this if he's still here. As an Arsenal fan, there's been nothing more infuriating than not having that player in the centre of midfield that will put themselves about, will run their bollocks off for the cause, will fly into any tackle. You know, they're good on the ball, they're exciting, they lift the crowd. You know, Chelsea had that, or have that if you like, with N'Golo Kante. Although Torreira's not the same player, there are similarities between the two. And I just think that we missed a massive opportunity when we nearly signed Kante from Leicester. And I think that Lucas Torreira has been the player that we've been crying out for. just for the way that he battles, he fights. I mean, I've been to see Arsenal a couple of times this season, and when I see Torreira play and see him stand up against like players that tower over him, and he flies into them like they're nothing. Like I went to see Arsenal Cardiff after the disaster with Emiliano Sala. They played him, and Lucas Torreira set up our first goal against Cardiff by winning a 50-50 against Sol Bamba. And you look at the size, he's an absolute monster. If you've ever seen Sol Bamba in person, like live at a game, he's an absolute monster. I've never seen anything like it. And Torreira went into a 50-50 with him, smashed through Sol Bamba, got up and laid the ball off, and then we ended up winning a penalty from it. And I just think to myself, like, we just haven't got that. We've had those sorts of players. We've been lacking for so long. So he's obviously option number 2. Who's next on the list, Joe?
I went with James Maddison.
Yeah. So do you want to kick us off with Maddison?
Yeah, I mean, him moving into that Leicester side, I think has completely transformed their midfield. Obviously I'm not a Leicester fan, so I don't watch him week in, week out, but he's a very, very good player. When we played Leicester, he was pretty much instrumental in their attacks, and he has one hell of a free kick on him. So for me, he's one of the buys of the season for Leicester for sure.
Yeah. A few guys talking about Idrissa Gueye in there. This is purely on people that have been signed this season. I do agree that Idrissa Gueye's been brilliant for Everton, probably one of 2 or 3 that have actually been consistent all season. But yeah, this is purely based on people that have been bought this season. But yeah, I'm with you on that, 100%, Joe. So I think Maddison's been really, really good for Leicester. And interestingly, he was sort of publicly slated by Brendan Rodgers before, when Maddison was, I think he was up in Scotland or something like that, and Brendan Rodgers was slagging him off, and now he's ended up being his manager, which is actually quite comical. But yeah, next on the list, I believe, is one that we will hear quite a lot from Pagani about, if I'm not mistaken.
A number 9, a Mr. Rondon.
Salomon Rondon for Newcastle. Pagani, do you want to talk us through the influence he's had on this team?
I mean, I think he's got 9 goals for us this season. It's not 9, it's 10, it's one or the other. But, I mean, it's not just that. His hold-up play has saved Newcastle's skin this season. He has been phenomenal. Considering we've only got him on loan, I hope we make it permanent end of this season. I mean, he's basically won us at least 10 games this season by himself. I mean, you can't put a price on 10 games that he won. And I think he played a vital part in our win against Man City.
Yeah.
You don't win against Man City unless everybody's playing well, and he has stormed it for us this season.
Yeah. I was very, very impressed with that signing, because I was aware of Salomon Rondon when he was playing for Rubin Kazan in Russia. And I thought to myself, I'd see him regularly scoring in the Champions League and stuff like this, and I was just aware of him and thought to myself, he's a cracking player. And then when he then signed for West Brom, I thought, bloody hell, what have you done? And he didn't really flourish that much at West Brom. But obviously we've always known that there's a player in there. And I remember saying to you, Pagani, when you signed Rondon, I was like, this is just... I said to you that that's a properly good signing for Newcastle. And I'm really pleased he's proved me right.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I was a bit circumspect when we were looking at him from West Brom for Dwight Gale going the other way.
Yeah.
But he definitely proved me wrong this season, and I'm thankful for it, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, he's kind of grown. If you look at your previous sort of number 9s and whatever, if you like, since obviously the days of Shearer and whatever. I mean, obviously I know you had Andy Carroll, But then you had people like I said, you had like Mitrovic and whoever else, and I thought they've never really cut it. But Rondon kind of brings that. You know, he's not sort of beaming with world class quality, or he hasn't got outstanding pace or skill. But what he's got is just massive amounts of like grit, and he's a bit of a workhorse, and he's not really known for like scoring or getting many assists or whatever. He's not known for being very strong in the box. Probably much like what Mitrovic has done for Fulham. But then he's recognised that, hold on, I need to really implement something new into my game to help my team win. And that's what's impressed me so much about Rondon this season. I think he's been brilliant for Newcastle.
Agreed. Very good play.
Yeah. Well, next up.
So, a West Ham signing, a Mr. Felipe Anderson.
Yes.
Yes. No, he's a very, very good player. Very technical. Yeah, very. He reminds me a little bit of when he had Payet, sort of their sort of replacement at long last for him. You know, it's very, very technical. Scores some great goals, and I think he's really helped West Ham do well this season.
Yeah, he's. I mean, they got him from Lazio. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So they got him from Lazio for a fee of about 30-something million, I think. So there was a bit of a risk element with him. He had sort of glowing reports in Italy. I was surprised he moved to West Ham, to be honest. But yeah, he's really kind of stepped it up. And what's been a bit of a weird season for West Ham, because I don't know really. I know obviously they've got Pellegrini in charge there now, and you know they're starting to solidify themselves again. West Ham as being that kind of rugged mid-table team that you're always confident of beating them, but equally you're always a bit wary of the threat they pose. And Pellegrini's sort of half transforming that team into like a real technically based team, and Felipe Anderson's the real kind of core of that. It's a shame that Yarmolenko's been out for so long on the other side, because when them two are playing together at the start of this season, they were absolutely outstanding. But Anderson's been consistent. First season in the Premier League, I wondered how he would kind of get on. But I mean, his ability on the ball, his brain is what impresses me the most. And yeah, I think he's well up there for a shout of buy of the season. Yeah, Pagani, have you got much to add on Felipe Anderson, or should we move on?
I was sort of surprised he went to West Ham, but I mean, he's made it his own this season. He's let out his skin when he's been in the team. I mean, it helps when you've got good players around you. And I mean, he's been playing off Arnautovic, so I mean, with him in front of you, it's sort of, you know, if you get the ball to him, he's going to do something with it. So he's, I mean, yeah.
9 goals and 4 assists he's got this season, so
yeah. So
very good.
I mean, he's always bringing something new, which you haven't really seen with West Ham for the last couple seasons since Payet left, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a spark they've been missing, and it seems they found it now. So hopefully he stays with them next season.
Right, Mr. Burns, who's up next?
Another striker, Raul Jimenez, or Jimenez, however you want to say it.
Yeah, Raul Jimenez. So, yeah, kick us off, mate, because I know people in the stream were talking about Jimenez earlier. So, yeah, get your thought processes in there. Obviously, it's just been made permanent from Benfica now.
Has it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, they've made him permanent. Yes, they've signed him permanently.
Well, it's great signing then, because I mean he's been a big part of their sort of push for Europe. I know they sort of fell off the boil a little bit, but I mean 12 goals this season, 7 assists. I mean you can't go wrong. He's very good player.
Yeah, Cavani saying he was with Wolves last year. No, I don't think he was. I think they only signed him on loan this season, and then they've now made him permanent. I'm sure it was only this season.
Yeah, I think they got him on loan in the summer, and they made it permanent in January.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure they had a different player last season up front. I could be wrong. Oh, Neves.
Did
Right,
they
yeah.
have?
No, he was on. He was on about Ruben Neves.
Something like that.
No, I can't remember. But no, he's on about Ruben Neves. Yeah, I mean, if they signed him this season, he'd be well on this list, 100%. But no, Jimenez, he's been really, really, really good. He's impressed me. I watched him in the FA Cup semi-final against Watford, and Wolves were on top of that game for most of it, and he very much reminded me of like how can I describe it? I'm just trying to think of like a good comparison, but you know the sort of team that the striker's the main guy, he's the best player in the team, he's the one that they look to get the ball to as much as possible.
So essentially, what Tottenham used to be like with Harry Kane.
Yeah, pretty much. That like they'd rush to get the ball to Kane and whatever. Like they were doing that with Jimenez, and I don't believe that Jimenez is Wolves' best player. I think Ruben Neves is, but they were using him as that type of player, that outlet. And even though you knew every single time that they were going to try and find Jimenez every single time, he still managed to find a way to get on the ball and see off those challenges and that kind of thing. So, no, Ravers, not like you on Rocket League. Jimenez, he's been absolutely brilliant for Wolves, and I think making that a permanent signing, although it's an expensive one, it's a very, very good signing. So I think he's well within a shout of winning this. I think was there one left?
I think there's two left, but I mean, we're shutting it down. We'll just do the one. But this one will make Ravers happy because it's the certain Everton left back, Lucas Digne.
Yeah, Lucas Digne. Pagani?
Was he at Barcelona or am I making that up?
No, he was.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you buy a player from Barcelona, you expect them to be good.
Came with his friend Andre Gomez.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you buy a player from Barcelona and they're not good, I mean, yeah, you bought the wrong one, didn't you? But no,
You should have gone for Messi.
He's been a hell of an acquisition for them this season, and he's showed up their back line tenfold. I mean, his defensive work is starting to come on now. At the start of the season, I didn't think he was best defensively. He was more happy to run forward, but I mean, I think he's really starting to fit in at Everton now. So next season, could he be challenging Andy Robertson for left back in the Premier League?
We'll have to wait and see. A couple of people saying no shouts for Andre Gomez. Now, he was certainly on the thought process, but I think, given all things considered, I think Lucas Digne has been better than Andre Gomez this season. Gomez has been very, very good in spells, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's absolutely lit games up and he's been the best player on the pitch, but then he hasn't performed at that level every single week like Lucas Digne has, in my opinion. And Gomez he's been injured, but I mean, like I said, he has been class, and there's no two ways about that, Gomez. But I think, given the two, if you ask most Everton fans who do you like more, who you've been more impressed by, Lucas Digne or Andre Gomez in their first season, I think most would go for Digne, because Everton like their fullbacks, don't they?
I think Digne is like the Everton fans' favourite player at the minute, without a doubt. Just out of everybody.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I think if you ask most of them who was they're most happy with out of the two, although it would be a tough decision, I think the majority would go for Lucas Digne. Cress saying Delafeu has been good for Watford. Yeah, he has been very, very good for Watford. But again, he's only really come on second half of the season. First half of the season, he wasn't even really getting in the team. So it's there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. So it was a tough shortlist. It really, really was. So I'll read them one more time and just literally put a name in the chat for us for those that are watching who you would go with on this. So you've got Allison, you've got James Maddison, you've got Lucas Digne, you've got Salomon Rondon, Raul Jimenez, Lucas Torreira, and who is the other one, Joe?
Felipe Anderson.
And Felipe Anderson. Who would you say has been the buy of the season out of those 7 players? I'm quite curious to know. Who are you going to go with, Joe?
Tricky. Probably James Maddison.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go for Jimenez. What are you going to go for, Pagani? Probably Rondon.
Maybe me, probably Rondon, but I'm going to go for Alisson.
Oh, okay. So
If
Cressy said...
Liverpool had to stay with Mignolet, they wouldn't be anywhere near the championship title this season.
Well, Cressy said Lucas Digne, and Co-Andy said Jimenez. Hammer Time 95, or whatever he's known as these days, is Jimenez. Cress has also said Richarlison, with a question mark. Yeah, he's been alright.
Not for the price he hasn't been.
But yeah, I mean, signed for 50 million, whatever it is, started off the season well, and then he's kind of been in and out of games, I think. I think Richarlison's the sort of player that you give him a bit of time to settle in properly at a club, feel loved by a club, bit of an arm around the shoulder type player. I think you'll get the best out of him. Yeah, that's what I think. So, yeah, right. Okay, so we haven't really got a shortlist for this next one. So I think we're just going to kind of talk about a couple of players. Yeah, surprise player of the season. So this is essentially anybody that really outside the top 6 or any of these buys that we've spoken about, someone that can play for any sort of club in the Premier League that's really sort of surprised you with how well they've played this season, or that they've exceeded expectations and stuff like this. Pagani, I'm not going to let you pick anyone from Newcastle. I need you to be a bit more think more outside the box. But yeah, so put your messages into the stream. But yeah, Joe, you're going to go for on this one. Surprise player of the season.
Might surprise a few, but I'm going to go for the new Everton winger, Richarlison.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When he made that move, I didn't. I mean, I knew he would. He was going to be good because obviously he's a very good player. But he, he's been very good for Everton since moving, and I didn't quite expect him to do as well as he has. I'm just looking at his stats now: 18 goals, 5 assists. Very, very good player. Definitely my shout.
Well, my one has just been said by Co-Andy and Chris. I'm a little bit upset they've done that. And I'm actually going to go with... Well, I'll tell you who it was between. So, Ryan Fraser from Bournemouth. I think he's been outstanding for Bournemouth this season. They've not... I mean, don't be wrong, they've done well this season, but they've not been as incredible as what they thought. Ravers had a very good shout in there of Connor Cody from Wolves. He's been really, really, really good. But Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Crystal Palace, I think he's been absolutely outstanding. He is so highly rated, and he's just come out of the blue, hasn't he? He's just appeared out of nowhere. So, and the fact, I mean, I watched him against City the other week, and yes, they lost, but he was marking Leroy Sané, who's an absolute beast of a player. Like, he's a monster of a player, Leroy Sané. And Wan-Bissaka looked so calm. He didn't look nervous at any point. He didn't look phased by the fact he was against Leroy Sané. And he did the same in the reverse fixture earlier on in the season when they beat City. And I just feel like I think he's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, Pagani, have I asked you already? I don't think I have.
No, you haven't.
Okay, go on.
I'm gonna go Connor Cody from Wolves,
Yeah.
as I'm not allowed to pick a Newcastle player.
I know you would have gone for Matt Ritchie, wouldn't you?
Um,
Oh, for sure.
Who I do think has been brilliant this season, especially been playing at left wing back because that's not his position at all. I think he's been class for you. No, not that fucking idiot. No. But yeah, so Connor Cody. Any reasons why, or are you just going to leave it at Connor Cody?
just gonna leave it at Connor Cody because I had to do a
All
quick
all that
search of
needs to
who
be
played
said.
in the Premier League. Nah, he's been underrated because, like I was saying, Neves and Jimenez get all the plaudits at Wolves, so like you don't really see much more of the team. So
Yeah. Well, Carl Andy also said Matt Doherty, the Wolves right wing back, he's been really really good. I think a lot of
Yeah.
the Wolves players could have got into this, um, into
I
this
mean,
team.
Colandi's just made a good point actually. He's saying De Gea because technically we didn't say it was it was a good surprise. So yeah, I mean fair point. De
Yeah.
Gea's been a massive surprise at how bad he's been this season. I think he's massively had his head turned by Real Madrid.
Oh yeah. Thing is though, they signed Courtois, didn't they? So I
Yeah, but I mean he's not doing very well at Real Madrid.
no, I
So
can't see them selling him after one season. But I really want to get Andy in one of the next podcasts because he's good with stuff like this. So Andy, I'm going to be twisting your arm, mate, to get you involved in one of these. But yeah, I mean, not much more to cover now. Just the final point at the bottom of the screen: Bolton Wanderers. Now, for those that don't know, obviously Bolton have gone through, some awful financial issues in the last sort of couple of months and so on. I know that apparently they've now agreed for the former Norwich chairman or owner to now buy Bolton or something.
crazy.
But what's happened is Bolton have now said because the players haven't been getting paid, they've now said they're going to refuse to play the last couple of games of the season unless they're paid. Now,
Now I've actually had an update on this as I was flicking through Twitter
okay,
earlier on in the stream, and it's actually been confirmed now that Bolton will not play their next game against Brentford for this reason. So
so Brentford will get the 3 points, I assume.
it doesn't. It just says more to follow on BBC. I'm assuming they probably will. Um, but yeah, it's been confirmed now that game has been cancelled.
Well, okay. So, question for the room is with everything that's been going on, and obviously it's their profession, it's what they do. Everyone that goes to work deserves to earn their money.
Yeah.
But obviously, people are going to have different opinions on this. Now, do we think that they're within their right to do that, considering their profession, or do we think that they're being ridiculous and they should not ridiculous? But do you think that regardless of this, they're professionals in this sort of environment where these sort of things can happen, and they should just get on with their job?
Nah. I mean, people may disagree with me, but I am firmly in the boat that you have a contract to do a job. If you are not getting paid for said job, then you have the right to refuse to work. You wouldn't turn up to work if you weren't getting paid. Just because they're footballers earning, whatever money it is a week, that shouldn't make a difference. Take the money side out of it, the amount of money side out of it. The fact is, it's their job, and if they're not getting paid for it, they should have the right to refuse to work.
Yeah,
I firmly agree with that.
yeah. Pagani, what would you think, mate?
I see both sides of it. I mean, I agree with Joe. Yeah, if you're not getting paid, you don't work, do you?
No.
But these are nanty-panty footballers who get paid over extraordinary amounts of money for basically kicking a football.
I mean,
I mean,
and you have to take into consideration when they refuse to play, you're also, putting out, on the other side, you've got fans turning up that have bought season tickets and, fans that have probably travelled from miles away to come and watch, and then the game's been cancelled. So, I appreciate that side of it, but
if it turns out that whoever they were going to play don't get 3 points from this, I think it's a shambles because, what, they can cancel it, but then like they've forfeited that game in every right. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can see both sides of it. Yeah, they've got every right to not play.
see,
But
go on, mate. Sorry.
I was just saying, like, at the end of the day, it's football, innit?
Yeah.
It's stupid money involved for what, in realistic terms, kids do at the park every other week.
Yeah. I look at it from a sense of, this is just my own personal view. I look at it from a sense of, I completely understand that people sign contracts. Essentially, this is their job. So you sign a contract, you expect to get paid. If you don't get paid for your work, then fair enough. You shouldn't have to go and do your job. On the other hand, the only argument I've got for this is, if you consider the environment and you consider everything associated with football, whether it be, the fans, the media, the publicity, the everything that surrounds football, because it's not like they're all a bunch of carpenters and they've not been getting paid for a few jobs, so they've not had their pay for a couple of months. Like, those carpenters or that particular profession aren't going to completely stop doing what they're doing because of some people not paying them. So what I mean by that is, if it's your profession, and especially if you're a young player, or if you're a player that's looking to try and maybe get a move to another club, or something like that, people are going to take note of this. And given the environment that you're in, if you refuse to work because you're not getting paid, some people are going to maybe question your attitude. I'm not saying that it's right by any stretch of the imagination, because I do think that they're right for not doing this. I'm just proposing an argument for it. Like, say if you're a Bolton striker, for argument's sake, and say you've got Sheffield United looking at you, and they're really, really impressed with how you've been playing and stuff like this, but you've just jumped on the bandwagon and refused to just play football because of some obvious problems that are happening at the club. Do you think that other teams may think twice about purchasing players? Think to themselves, well, if they're not prepared to be around the club or pull on the shirt when times are tough, they just expect it to be all sunshine and rainbows all the time. I mean, it's an argument, isn't it? Like, I'm not saying it's right. I'm purely just proposing what other people have said about the matter. I personally feel they're right to not be doing it, but I'm just proposing that argument.
I think it's hard to expect somebody to to turn up to work and be passionate about their job if they're not getting paid. I mean, we don't know how long they haven't been getting paid for. I mean, that doesn't say. But yeah, one of them things.
I think it's been. I think it's like 2 months. I don't think it's much more than that. I know that they were in a position where the club was struggling to do it, but then they did then pay them. But I know footballers get paid monthly, so their weekly wage that they get that monthly. I'm pretty sure that's the case for most teams in the world, I think. by the way that it all works in line with the FA and so on. So Ravers has come out and said, yes, they have a contract, they should be paid, but there's tons of agency jobs out there. If these players are skint, go down the nearest agency and do 2 or 3 shifts in a warehouse to put the food on the table. I would have to if I needed to. In fact, and he said not finished here, the faster the money football bubble bursts, the better. £100 is what it would cost me to go and watch my team. I have no sympathy. So, I mean, it's a topic that's, you know, you can debate about it for hours. Like I said, you can look at it from both sides. You know, it's what you've also got to take into consideration is the fans' view on this, because the fans are obviously going to be very, very pissed off with the club, the fact that they're in this financial position. But you've seen when clubs have gone into administration or they've done, you know, they've been in bad financial positions. Look at Portsmouth, for argument's sake. Like when they dropped down, and Portsmouth nearly just fucking went all together, didn't they? And Rangers when that happened up in Scotland. But then rather than people throwing their toys out the pram, they kind of united and they tried to do something about it, and they put themselves back up into a good position. Now that might have to be the same thing at Bolton, but at least it means that these players are then going to be going out and putting on their shirt in front of these supporters that have worked either their entire lives and put massive amounts of money into travelling and following them around the country to go and watch them play a game of football, because that's essentially all it is. You know, they're just literally following people all around the country, going to work, and your top priority being, I go to work to pay for my season ticket so I can go and watch my football team. Now, these players get it fucking easy because they get all of this first class travel through trains and planes and team buses and fucking all of this Gucci shit that they wear, whereas other people have to stand there in the fucking rain watching their team get hammered 4 or 5-0 every week, which is where I think to myself, right, well, maybe these players should just fucking, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, realise it's not going to happen to them forever, and maybe try and play through the bad times. So there's an argument for both cases, I think, but I don't think there is a right or wrong answer on this. It's a very, very interesting debate.
Fair enough.
So, but no, I mean, other than that, I mean, we've been going for fucking 2 hours now. Fucking hell.
How long? About a minute 50. I mean, we might as well round it up to 2 hours. If there's anybody in the chat wants to ask us to speak about something that we maybe haven't spoke about, I don't know. Might as well try and round it up to 2 hours, I guess.
Yeah.
You mean like how Sunderland are happy that they're in the playoffs in League One? And then I got some fans claiming that, oh, we don't want to be promoted if we're not going to be champions. If you can't be champions of League One on your first attempt, you don't deserve to go back up.
What I was going to say, just a reminder for people, when we do these next podcasts, we're going to be doing it from PC. We're going to have a lot more graphics and everything's going to be a lot more well prepared. And we're really going to try and make this grow. So, obviously we would appreciate your support. And for people that have sat here for 2 hours listening to us talk about football, massively appreciated. And sharing your opinions and stuff. Because essentially it's just about us having a chat about football, but allowing other people to listen to us. So, it really is as simple as that, but we've had nothing else come through, so I think we'll wrap this up. My voice is going and I've got to be up in 6.5, 7 hours. Yeah, so...
Oh, my cause has turned up.
Yeah, but I know he's going to say something stupid and sarcastic, so... It's, Come on in, Matt, what have you got to say?
Got 30 seconds.
Either going to be something along the lines of football shit, Aaron's got a big forehead, something like that.
Probably Alex or Wolby. That's probably what he's going to say.
Yeah, it won't be Pogba or say something like that. Matt, come on. You're Danish.
You've got 20 seconds left.
Yeah, don't just say Nick.
Both of the statements that you said that he could come up with are both true, so I mean...
Yeah, he's got everyone's attention now. He's coming here for no reason. Go on, Matt. Thank you for your fantastic league.
I feel bad now.
Yeah, I do. I love you, Matt. Love you.
Oh, there we go. There we go. He ruined it.
What did he say?
Don't read it out. It would be
I
unprofessional.
can't see it. It just says thank you for your
What's that?
fantastic league. I genuinely can't see it.
I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it you. But yeah, we could probably wrap it up now.
Cool.
Right,
Right, well, listen.
chats right now. Look.
Right, listen. Everybody that watched, people like Co-Andy and Ravers and Hammer Time 95 and everyone else, and obviously Joe and Pagani for sitting here for the last couple of hours talking football. Massively appreciated. Like I said, we're going to try and come up with some form of actual schedule for this now. It's something we really, really want to do. We've got so many ideas for it, and it should be pretty fun for us all. So thank you very much. Hammer Time 95 said enjoyed it. It's been brilliant. But yeah, cheers guys. We will we'll see you on the next one. Thank you and good night.